and I looked at the building when we were repairing it. We couldn't see that it had ever been dug there and built onto there, so.
Okay, that's interesting. So also, there's been quite a bit of changes in terms of the main streets and the bypass being built.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how,
Well,
29, as we know, it came through town, and how the bypass came to be built?
Well, a lot of people were not in favor of doing that because they liked the people to come through town. Some people would stop, and some people would come up this way to the Veterans Home, because we didn't have anything else up here, actually. We didn't have the museum, and we didn't have the restaurant. So the Veterans Home would be the only reason they'd turn off. But the people, the city council itself, they felt that was a good idea, because we were getting a lot more traffic than we had when we first came here, when they built the bypass. And it was, we didn't have a stop sign in town. So the city council felt that it was a good thing for the city. It would allow us to grow and be more quiet and more peaceful. They ran through there at night, and even though there was a speed limit, they didn't pay attention to it. And all we had was the county sheriff's office. They couldn't be everywhere. So we were definitely in favor of getting the road moved.
And so what year was that bypass built? do you
That I
recall?
don't know. That I don't know. I don't
Okay.
remember. But it was quite a while after we bought the property.
Okay.
Quite a while.
So when Yountville was incorporated, do you remember who was the commandant who was in charge up here at the Veterans Home in the mid-60s?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No, I do not.
Just had a couple more questions. And so at the time when you incorporated, everybody had water and they got it from Rector. But did it come from the Veterans Home, or did you have pipes that all came in from a central location that provided water to all the residents? Do you remember how that worked?
No, I don't know how that worked. I don't know how that worked. We did not have any water storage tanks there, so I don't know just how that, I just assumed we had pipes. But later it was switched up here to the Veterans Home. But I thought when we came there, we were told it was just from Rector Dam. In fact, we had some dealings with Rector Dam. So,
And you had to deal with the state
had to deal with the state.
to get the water.
Mhm.
So another question that I've heard many people mention was back in the 60s that Yountville was going to grow eastward all the way to Silverado Trail. Did that ever happen, or is that just a
No,
myth?
That was never thought of or never mentioned in the city council. Because as I told you, when we incorporated, the Board of Supervisors made it very plain. You are not going to extend your dimensions. This is what it's going to be. So don't come to us because we're not doing it. And I said, Mr. Beard, the Beard family owned a huge, from the river clear back to our place, there's a huge, and it was all vineyard. So, and that already the agriculture was there. So we never had any intentions of extending any of the limits while
Okay.
I was there.
So let's talk about some of the stuff that a lot of us who live here now, are familiar with, but we really don't know much of history, and maybe you can have some. I've gotten some questions from some people. People would like to know about the Schmidt family that owned the French Laundry. The French Laundry, if you're walking
Yes.
around town, you're very likely to be asked by someone driving by, where is the French Laundry?
Right.
So we'd like to talk about
Right.
that. We also, what we consider quite unique to Yountville, all of our stop signs and major street signs we put wood around them. We don't really know where that history started.
I have
maybe.
no idea about that.
So, and the Yountville School. So maybe you could talk about, did you know the
Of course,
Schmidts?
I had
or
no
the
children
school?
in school, and I really wasn't very interested in school, and it was rather a small school. And it's where you now have the city hall?
Correct.
Yes. And basically, that's all I know about the school. I don't know anything about the school.
Okay.
But what was the first one you
The
asked?
French Laundry,
The French-
as we
well,
know, and the Schmidt family.
The Smith family, they were part of the first group that bought the vintage 1870. And then Sally, that's his wife,
Right.
she started the restaurant in the kind of the back of the French Laundry there, and was very successful. And he served on the council for many years. And then they got the idea of buying the property for the French Laundry, yes, and to going into her having a bigger and a better restaurant. And when they came here, I'm sure that that was not in their mind at all. But,
So her original restaurant was in
in
1870?
1870 at the
Okay.
back.
In the back of that.
Mhm. And she was very successful. And they were both very nice people. As I said, he was on the council for years, and we worked with both of them, my husband and I.
So I would just kind of like for you maybe to take some time, and you're still coming to Yountville frequently. I see you around town, and you
Oh,
don't
yes.
live very far away.
Yes.
And a lot has really changed over
Oh,
that time.
it's-
So kind of reflecting back to, you've talked about where you started and where we are now. So the reason you wanted to kind of start the local government and where we are now, maybe can you just give us your opinions and your thoughts on that?
Well, as I said, the main reason was to be able to get the services that we felt we needed and to help, I think, the children. The fact that we didn't have sidewalks, we didn't have curbs, we didn't have part of the streets even paved, that they had to get out in the weather to walk to school in the mud. I think that was what prompted a lot of the people in the Yountville Improvement Club, that they wanted to improve that. And we had no garbage service, which was awful. Some people burned their garbage. Other people took it different places. And that just wasn't acceptable. Just was not an acceptable place for us to live right away. We were really, when we finally did get going and got a little bit settled here, we thought, yes, there's something needs to be done here. And even, as I said, Jack Forster, being born and reared here, he knew that something needed to be done. And we definitely needed to get the properties cleaned up. We needed to inspire the people to do something with their own living environment. That the yards were weedy, the houses were unpainted, and we were getting people here that paid very little rent, and we just needed to upgrade with the park, there was no park there. It was just a bunch of bushes and leaves and trees and everything like that. So we needed to get that done. Because a lot of people did come to the cemetery. That's kind of a known place. And we wanted to get that improved.
So now when you walk down the street
Yeah.
and you see all the hotels and the restaurants and the visitors that we have come to town, you can come here any day. I mean, was this something that you could ever have
No.
foreseen?
No. Thurman did, because like I said, he told me what he would do. But no, I could not see that at all, and I wasn't even looking for it because we were so busy with what we were trying to do and to get our own business going and so forth, that I could not see that at all. Just couldn't see it. And they did take out part of the, like the Bartasones have sold part of their land, and they have housing in there now. And then Jack Forster had 10 acres of vineyards back there, and he put in the house in there. So there's been a lot of housing gone in since we first came here. And then, of course, the other mobile home park, that takes care of a lot of housing.
Right.
He came over and teased my husband and I, said, I'm just going to extend my streets right on over. My husband said, no, you're not going to do it that way. But it was fun.
So when you kind of reflect back, I'm sure there was some parts that were really hard and challenging for you, and probably some stuff that was maybe a little more fun. Does anything kind of come to mind that you really want to share with us right now about
No,
the
I don't
highs
think
and
it
the
was.
lows?
I don't think it was much of a challenge. It's just something that once we got here and we talked to the people and met the people, that we realized what needed to be done, and we did it. And there's not many people that would have taken that much of their time. That people did in order to become incorporated, because if we had not done what we did, put out brochures, put out literature, go to people, talk to people, it just wouldn't have happened. It never would have happened. And I don't think any of it was a big surprise once we got going. And then once we did get incorporated and we had Charlie Williams as an attorney, he's so very, very good. And I was just telling the lady that he has a place at Silverado, and I see him quite frequently. Yeah, and he always has to talk to me, of course, when we see each other. So it's fun to see him.